Hi. So I'm pretty sure you notice this kind of questions lately. Well, not so lately, probably for the last couple of years, like, is test automation is going to replace manual testing? I think that's the time that the question is actually answered once and for all, because the answer is pretty simple, obvious, and objective. Yet people somehow ignore the objective evidence and still insist on, I don't know, their own kind of answer for this particular question. But let me get this pretty straightforward for you. Now, what is automated testing then? I can think of two definitions. First is that it is testing which is performed in a fully automated manner. So all these kind of things, questioning, study, modeling, observation, inference, planning, preparation, evaluation, is done completely automatically, which I think is not going to happen unless we have a real artificial intelligence, which I guess is not going to happen soon. The other thing, let's say I'm complicating things, and automated testing is, let's say, I don't know, automated regression testing or some subset of testing that we hopefully can automate. And I'm sorry, that's not going to happen either. Why not? There are three main reasons that I have found. First is a halting problem. Alan Turing has proof that it is theoretically not possible to write a program that evaluates the correctness of another program. What it means is that it is just not possible to write a program that will definitely, reliably tell that the other program is correct. Well, we can try to make some practical example which doesn't work in 100% of cases but works in some cases and call this automation, right? And this also is not going to happen easily because there's an Ashby law of requisite variety in our test automation terms. Essentially, this law tells us that it is not going to be possible to write an efficient and reliable test automation unless your test automation is more complex than the product you're testing, which is economically should not be viable. That's at least what I think. And finally, there is a decision maker dilemma. What is that? Think about Boeing Max. When shit like this is happening, someone has to pay, someone has to lose the job, someone has to go to prison because the public is angry and because it's a pretty good thing to do. If you have the decision making automated, who is the person who is responsible for that decision? That's not only about testing, by the way, it's about every decision, like the decision that when you make an insurance application, when you're applying for credit or for anything else, if this decision is automated, in the European Union, by law, we have a right to ask this decision to be made by a person, by a human, because we simply can't trust the automation. It's just too complex for us to understand already. And if we have this automation even more complex, then we have levels of complexity complicating each other, and to a point when no one can understand what's really going on. An example, some companies, they would say that we don't have manual testers, we have only automated testing, and that works for us. And I do agree that can work. I'm not saying that testing is required or even necessary, although testing is very helpful in many contexts. What we have to understand here is that testing is a part of risk mitigation, which we can loosely call probably quality assurance or something else. It's a something that helps us to mitigate a risk of a major or minor or huge problem. And that's not the only way to mitigate the risks. There are lots of ways to mitigate the risks. You can mitigate the impact, you can mitigate the probability. I actually given a whole talk about this topic at the National Software Testing Conference this autumn. When a company says that they don't have testing and they do everything in an automated fashion, it doesn't mean that they were able to replace the testing. I like this metaphor with cars. So think about automation like an indicator light on your car, like check your engine, check your oil level, stuff like that. If no indicator is lit, does it mean that you don't need a technician to look at your car, like once a year, for example? No, it doesn't. But you can still drive your car and don't go to a technician to have your car checked. What it tells us? It tells us that You understand and accept the risk. So some companies, they can accept the risk of not testing software, and that's all right. And we as an engineers, someone who may be specialized in testing, have a moral and professional duty. Be very specific about that. I'm very cautious here. I'm not saying that automation is not going to replace testing, so everyone should have a manual tester on their team. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that test automation is not going to replace human-driven testing. That's one thing. Second thing is that even if this is the case, it doesn't mean that every team, every company, every product requires a tester. It means that we can't automate a service provided by tester using test automation. But what it's not telling us is that what are other quality mitigation techniques that we can use to replace testing as an activity. If you enjoyed this video, please consider liking and subscribing to it. I also have my YouTube channel, which you can see in the comment below. And there will be more videos like this on my YouTube channel.